It is time for another tier list. This time not by myself. We have a lovely, lovely guest who can introduce himself.
Yo, I'm Nova. I talk about Honkai Star Rail lore. I hate the IPC and Herda's best girl.
As you should, and based. Today is gonna be one big yap session. Straight up. It's probably gonna be one big yap session. We will be going through every main quest, starting from 3.0. We are going to go through every single main quest and ranking it. We're gonna see how long that takes. We have 5 tiers, which are subject to change, possibly. Starting from the top, we have the tippy top, Hikaya Cinema, the best that we've had. Right below, we have quests that were great, that were very good, with a few little things here and there, a few nitpicks maybe. Not as great, but they were maybe like a 8 or 9 out of 10. You know, quests that were just great, but not perfect, or not the best they could be. Then we have overall good, but with some rough patches every now and then. There's a couple of quests that I can think of that I overall enjoyed, but there were a few like scenes or sequences where I was like, all right, we're lingering here a little bit too long, or this feels a little off. Next up, we have the it's all right, could have been better. Not bad, not great. It's okay. It's okay. No strong feelings, but not a dislike. And the bottom tier, which I honestly don't think I'm gonna be like considering at all, is just the meh. Like, not really good, not bad, but not good. Like the 5 out of 10 or less. I honestly don't think there's gonna be any quest in there for that. But we'll see. And I didn't go any lower because there are no bad Amphoreus quests. And without further ado, we can get started. And I'll have you have the first word. General impressions of Amphoreus. General opinions. How we feeling?
I say this a lot. It was definitely a yap fest. I understand if people aren't necessarily into that, but that is precisely why I do what I do. Like a lot of
totally
what I do surrounds pretty much summing up what happened, because I think this story is great. Yeah. It is a great story, but there are a ton of details.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that really brings us into 3.0, because that's what 3.0 was.
Yeah,
it was
for
a
sure.
Great beginning, and a lot of people hated it, but we needed to have it because of what followed.
Yeah, so like I think what's also gonna be interesting throughout this is that we're probably gonna have a couple points here where we might like disagree on stuff, because number one, you and I experienced the story in a slightly different manner, with you playing it by yourself and I streamed the whole thing. And also, I think you and I probably have at least partially different priorities when it comes to the content and like what things stick out to each of us. You're a lore guy, mostly, I would say. A lore story guy. I mean, me as well, but I am, like, for first and foremost, very much a character person. So when I look at these quests, I think of course, like the story itself, the plot, what's happening. But for me, how the characters were handled. And if there's like any like specific scenes or anything that gave me like more insight on a character or character relationships and stuff, and that's like always like what I focus on. So I think that'll also be interesting to see where our focus lies in these quests. And on that note, starting with 3.0. Do you want to go first, or do I go first?
You can go first.
All right. And by the way, also like a little heads up that Nova and I both played the early 3.x quests before they decided to like listen to like, you know, player feedback and like tighten things up a bit, like making some dialogues optional, and I think like shortening some of the puzzle sections or the exploring sections or whatever. I think they did that. I don't know how or what they might have removed or made optional, but Nova and I went through the whole thing as it came out. I think I would put 3.0 in overall good, but had some rough patches. Overall, I think the introductions to the characters were very good, and the like different dynamics, and even like the little scenes, the more like downtime scenes that we've had at the start, where we were exploring Akama and we were talking to Cassie and Finon and stuff. Those scenes I actually quite enjoyed. I think that they definitely went a little too hard on some of the exposition. Namely, the thing that I can think of is the bath sprite, as we were on our way to meet Aglaya, or with Aglaya, that like retells like the whole, you know, like the setting and everything, where you can choose to have it explained to you in Razor language or not. And then Aglaya after that kind of like adding on to it, but I feel like she also said a few things that, like, I think they yapped a bit too much in that section. I think they could have shortened the explanation of, like, what is going on, where are we, what are Titans, what is everything, and, like, guided us into it a bit more slowly. And the later section of where we meet Nias, and we go through, like, cast and of the past with him and everything. That whole section, I feel like, also dragged on a little bit. They could have also shortened that, like, the whole, like, restoring everything and stuff. I think and listen, this is gonna make it obvious where I stand with this. I'm not a big gameplay person. I don't really care for gameplay. I'm here for the story. The whole Cast and Kremnos section, I thought also, actually, no, Cast and Kremnos was fine. And I'm very biased because we were with Final and Mighty. I'm very biased in that front, but I think overall good, but, like, a couple patches where I was like, well, we could move on from this.
I get that. I can agree with a lot of your points there. I wanted to lean towards very good, a few minor complaints, but I really do get your point. It does drag at this section with the bat sprites because they're never mentioned again from what I remember.
The bat sprites are kind of just there. Like, that bat sprite was there to tell us the history.
But I feel like then Aglaya tells us the history, though.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like, yeah. They could have, like, combined that.
Yeah, that whole section just straight up didn't need to happen.
It was funny, like, for a bit, like, the like, being able to choose whether you just, you know, you want, like, the classic normal storytelling, or you want the bat sprite to go, there was a big boom and bad things happened. That was funny, but, like, still.
I feel like they could have, like, introduced the Black Tide there instead.
Yeah,
and, like,
that's fair.
Told us more about that before we kind of had to, like, slowly figure out what exactly the Black Tide was by the end. Other than that, though, I feel like when we met the guy that found March in the camera,
Damian is my boy,
and the Rosie Celestial Maiden, I hated that guy, but now I think he was cooking.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's
a little stupid. He still wanted to fly in a vase, but it's okay.
Yeah, he's got a couple screws loose, but he was fun. I thought he was fun.
That was some great foreshadowing.
For sure.
It also allowed us to understand how Aglaya's golden threads work, because they basically work like internet and social media. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, true. Also, another thing that I think could have been cut a bit shorter, although it wasn't that long to begin with, but it kind of, again, maybe it felt like it because I was streaming it, and so I let the whole thing, like, play on, like, I let all the voice lines play out and everything. I do think the starting section of, like, where we were in Yanisopolis could have been cut short a little bit. I don't know, something about the pacing there felt a little off. Maybe that was also, like, the idea of, like, the exposition and, like, having to, like, try and keep up with everything without lingering for too long and everything. Maybe that was, like, me being a little overwhelmed at first. So I'm willing to put it up to that as well. But I don't know, something about that felt a little off, that very first section, but...
That's just the first hour, to be honest. That's not actually all that long.
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
I don't feel like that dragged. I feel like that needed to happen. Like, for me, I'm looking back on it as, like, were these things that they spent all this time fleshing out, was there a payoff to it?
Yeah, and there was.
Factor. And it allowed people like me to figure out, like, how the world works and, like, how intertwined this world was with memories from the very beginning, and
True.
That's huge.
True. I also think that, and now I'm gonna get into, like, more of the more my personal thing, because as I mentioned, I'm a very character-driven person. You're fucking gonna. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum, but for a second, I do need to talk about the whole Cast and Kremnos section where we were with Final and Mighty, and
that dragged for me.
See, understandable. For me, it didn't, because I mean, I was very interested in their characters to begin with. It was their characters, casters a little bit, that, like, stuck out to me at first. And I really, really did love how 3.0 in general gave us a solid impression of the relationship between some of the heirs. Like, we had Casters and Aglaya, who, Casters' whole character in general is interesting, because at first I didn't think I was gonna like her much, because she seemed like this very... you know, like, typical quiet, aloof, reserved girl who, you know, didn't, like, express much and stuff. But, like, already in 3.0, we got to see, like, small snippets of her just being, you know, having a bit more whimsy to her, being a little silly, a bit more chipper than initially expected. and I really like that. And her relationship with Aglaya being sort of like, I don't know how to describe it. You could tell like right off the bat that she respected Aglaya like a great lot, and Aglaya kind of being like the person to like encourage her to step out of her shell every now and then, even though there is still like this sort of authority there. Finon and Mighty, the shipping part and stuff aside, whatever. I do think it did a great job at establishing their connection and their relationship with, at first, Mighty like coming like swooping in as this like big, strong, rough around the edges kind of guy, you know, the brute, and Finon being the big golden retriever boy. But in that same quest, when we go through Castrum Kremnos, you like very quickly see how they complement each other with their competitive spirits, them just going at it with each other. I do think it's still very funny that entire ride we were basically third wheeling because they were like, yeah, let's recreate the Kremnos festival. Let's have this competition. You and I, you and me. And then when we're about to confront Nikador, it's just you, me, and the Titan. And the Trailblazer was there like, and me, I'm here.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that was good though. Like
for sure.
I feel like that needed to happen to properly flesh out their dynamic.
For sure. And like one of my favorite parts of that scene, or in that quest even, was where at first you definitely get the impression that Mighty is the more reckless one. Because when you first meet him, we have like this thing where Finon tells him that, you know, they should be protecting the citizens and they should be making sure that everyone is safe. And Mighty's the one that's like, well, offense is the best defense. Just take out.
I'm gonna throw this Titan through a wall.
Yeah, just like kill them all and we're good.
Appearance.
Kill them all and we're good. And then later on, it flips where we discover like Nikoro's like the plan to attack Akamon and everything with the Titankin and whatnot. And it's Mighty who at first is like, we need to go back, we need to protect everyone, we need to make sure everyone's safe, we need to be on the defense. And Finon is like, no, we should keep going. If we take out Nikador, it's all over. When one's on the offense, the other's on the defense, and like they both know, they just know each other well enough to be like to recognize when they should push when they should push and when they should draw back. And I really love that.
This is the first time we see that little mean streak that Finon has, and I think that's a really fascinating part of his character.
Finon is like the dude.
A switch flips in this guy, and we can see it from the very beginning. It's like he's all nice and gentle, nice guy, everything, right? But
I love that.
Sometimes a switch flips, and he says stuff that's like, whoa, because he threatened to kill Orynyx. Like he's...
Yeah, dude, like, and that's what I'm saying, like, ship them or not, I think that doesn't really matter. Like, whether you see them as romantic or some, like, undefined third thing or whatever. But whenever I see people talk about them, like, being, like, just bros or just friends, I think that even though, like, if I weren't talking from a shipping perspective, that would just do, like, such a disservice to their relationship. Because the way that these two act around each other, they do around no one else. With Mighty, we see that like very childish and competitive side of Finon that we don't really get to see anywhere else. It's the rage baiter and the rage baited and the enabler. And that is so fun.
I feel like that's the reason why he's like that is because he knows how strong Mighty is, and it's that mutual trust, so he doesn't have to be the protector in that situation.
Exactly, yeah. Like they're equals.
Like, okay, we've got each other's backs. I can chill out now.
Yeah, and like around Mighty, he doesn't have to worry about like being the hero and being the deliverer. Exactly. Like around Mighty, he's just Finon, and around Finon, Mighty can also who's normally so disciplined and restrained, except like outside of battle at least, also has like an outlet to, you know, let himself go a bit more and also be very childish in a way that he usually wouldn't be. Anyway, all that to say, I'm gonna bring this up a lot more because I'm insane over them, but that's fine. 3.0, overall good, I would say. Had some rough patches, but overall, a good start.
And we had Herta, at the end. Can't forget Herta.
True. We had Herta. I
do just straight aura farming the entire time. Love to see it.
Something about that section, the pacing felt a little off to me, but overall, I think it was good. I started that part at like the 4 or 5 hour mark or something of the stream, so I was a little more tired then. But I recognize that like that, it was a decent way to like introduce, to be like, hey, something's happening on the outside as well.
Just straight aura farming on the Memo Snatcher. That was just great.
That was so cool.
That made my day. Like, that was it for me.
That was so cool.
I was like, yes. Because so many people were calling Herta a fraud until then, and I'm like, finally.
See, I wasn't calling Herta a fraud. I just didn't like her until 3.x. Although 3.x definitely did make me like her character a lot more. I think it's also like just because you hadn't seen a lot of her before then. And 3.x definitely showed us like more sides of her, also like a more human side of her than we got with like the bitchy little puppet in the space station or something.
I like the puppet. That's what made me like the character. I was like, wait a second, this character's unique. Like, wait a second, everyone's so nice and polite. Then we have this genius woman over here.
That is very
behind
fair.
A puppet. Who is this? Who is this sassy lost child? Like,
see, that's what I kind of didn't like, but I get it. I get it. And also speaking of that last section, one like little thing that I just, the entire time it happened, I thought it was so funny when Veld and Sunday, they interrupted her. I think it's so fucking cute that like this entire like throughout I feel like almost this entire version, you can clearly see how like Sunday is still like adapting to everything that is happening, and whenever he's going somewhere, he's with Veld, and whenever like someone addresses him, he looks over to Veld like, can I?
What do I do here?
It's so cute. I fucking love that.
He's just the dad of the crew. That's what he is.
True. I love Papa Weld and fucking lost sopping wet cat Sunday. Yeah, I think overall good with some rough patches is a fair ranking here. And next on the list is 3.1. Oh boy.
The mighty patch.
Like full bias, I loved it. It was Mighty and Treeby.
That whole scene with him taking on the Flame Reaver.
Dude, that was so... The music as well.
Dick. We lost a lot of people with 3.0 and the whole Yap Fest in 8 hours, but 3.1 is what brought people back and was like, okay, hold on, maybe there's something to this. 3.1
was very... I think 3.1... I feel like I kind of want to like start with like get into Mighty later because I feel like I have more to say about him. We also had the Treebs, which I think... I think their character was handled fairly well for the most part. I do like, you know, the whole like flashback or the dream of Treeby and her and their mother, where it fucking turned into a mini horror section midway through. I think that was lovely. I do think that some of the Treeby sections, then again, maybe that is just because I like Treeby's not my favorite character or anything. I like them, but that's about it. Basically before they met the Flame Reaver, where they were like in Yanisopolis and like going through the place. Something about like that section doesn't really stick in my mind a lot. Like I remember not being like too into that section. It felt a little one of the lower sections of the quest for me personally. I also don't fully remember what they were doing there. Not gonna lie. I think they were going to see Oryx. Was that it? Was that it? Maybe that was it. I don't fully remember.
Oh, we got to talk about this Nestia Calypso section.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have some gripes with that one.
Same. I think that section was too long.
It didn't make any sense.
It would have been fine if they had shortened it. Like, I don't mind learning about Calypso and Ceres and a little bit of Nestia. I don't mind that, but it was too long in my opinion.
Like, even from a lore standpoint, there are so many gaps. Like, it just runs contradictory to the stories and history that you can read about Amphoreus. It just straight doesn't make. Because there's this whole thing about Ceres, because Ceres is Calypso, and I didn't believe that Calypso was Ceres.
I remember that, yeah.
Nestia. That was the theory that I ended up being very wrong about. But
would have been cool.
Because the thing was, it never stated that Ceres liked Nestia back.
Right,
because Nestia
right.
loved Ceres and connected herself to Ceres. But Ceres never really did anything to reciprocate that love. So I just thought that, okay, so it's an unrequited love story. Very romantic and all that, right?
Right. I think...
Then it's like, oh, all of a sudden, Calypso loves Nestia back. And I'm like, wait, what? And then it's like Calypso has like the whole bleeding eyes shut thing. I'm like, oh, Calypso's blind. It must be Nestia. Nestia went blind.
Some sections in all of Amphoreus, it feels like, whether it's like bigger or smaller things, it feels like they had something in mind and then they realized they might not have the time for it. And they kind of like try to work around it, if that makes sense. I think that depending on where exactly you can read that thing about like Nestia and Ceres, there is always like the argument that could be made about, depending on who tells those legends and who tells that story, that there might be some, you know, some information not being fully accurate and some people, you know, exaggerating stuff or whatever, or spicing something up for the drama. But I do think that if they wanted to tell us more about Cersei and Nestia, they could have just done so in a different way, if you know what, like in a better way, in like a more open way of sorts. Because I kind of was interested. And hey, I love the fucking fanfiction we're getting later on between Cersei's and Nestia in, I forgot which patches it was. Like, they could have given us like something along those lines in 3.1 already and been like, by the way, we're establishing this right now. You can learn about this now, and later on we're gonna have some little fun tidbits, some little callbacks or whatever. The whole like traveling through the grove section, it wasn't the worst thing, but I didn't care much for it for a lot of it until we meet the Flame Reaver and we fight and whatnot. That part was great. That part was lovely.
Everything involving the Flame Reaver in this story is great.
Absolutely. Yes. I feel like HSR has that problem quite a bit, where it's not that the scenes that they give us are bad or are unnecessary. At least I don't never think so. It's just that sometimes they linger on it for just a tad too long. Where like a 10-minute what could have been a 10-minute section is like 50 minutes, and that's not much longer. But like those 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, we can move on now. Mighty, my god. Heavy bias. I loved every second he was on. I love the character development we got from him. I loved the different sides we got to see of Mighty in that patch. Which we kind of, I feel like saw like hints or could glean hints from in 3.0 already. But like actually seeing that underneath that whole like, you know, very, very composed and you know, strong and confident attire. He's such a sweetheart. He's such a giant sweetheart. He's good with kids. He loves his people. The inner conflict that he has with, you know, with his own wants and what he thinks is best and his duty and everything. I freaking loved that.
I feel like his outfit really worked so well. Because it captures his like brash personality. But then it's like it's asymmetrical, right? So he's got like this brash, exposed side. Then he's got like the whole robed, princey side.
That's fair. I never really thought of that.
That really like expounded and really fleshed out his character, and I feel like it really, really works.
For sure. It definitely.
They had the whole bathhouse duel with Fina.
Yes.
Oh, Crateros. Was an interesting character. Yeah. And really contributed to Mighty's character development.
Listen, at first I could not stand his ass.
Yeah, me either.
The clash of perspectives, I think, was very interesting because you could kind of see where Crateros was coming from, but like the way he communicated, the way he went about it, and just the mindset itself, definitely like it puts you off a lot.
That's the Cremnoan people, though.
Yeah,
it's
for
like,
sure.
They're like that, but they all have hearts of gold. That's their thing.
Yep, like the intention is there. It's just that, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because Crateros, like, he did know Mighty's parents, and he's older. He's more like traditional in the sense of like following tradition, like Cremnoan traditions and stuff. And he was also fucking like very much like, I mean, not even like torn. He was very much anxious and not disappointed. What do you call it? I guess like maybe quote scared in a way, even though there is no word for fear and whatnot. When like Mighty told him of his decision to leave the duty of like king behind with him, but you can see that like even at the end he kind of like comes around, or there's some like some reluctant respect for that decision, and I like that a lot.
It's like it's because he's older that he can better like represent the culture of Castrum Kremnos.
For sure, yeah.
That really contributes to the world building too. And
now that you mention it, like I can't believe I almost forgot about this. The bath scene, in my opinion, automatically gives a bonus point. You know,
understandable.
Yeah, a very plot relevant, lore heavy scene. Methinks very much necessary.
Just fleshing out the bros dynamic.
Exactly, they're very much fleshing out the dynamic. The bath sprite contributed with their story that totally does not read like an allegory, but that's another topic. It was great.
What about the bath sprite?
The bath sprite was fucking great. Funnily enough, aside from the whole, you know, black screen moaning, the bath sprite was what got me. Because I went back and like I reread that story and the way they told it, and I was like, see, even if I didn't have the context, it reads a little like something. If I
33,550,336 back shots is enough said.
Fucking love that. Like, definitely, you know, like, they knew what they were doing, and hey, it reached the target audience.
They know what they're doing.
They absolutely know what they're doing. They
know what they're doing.
They knew in 3.1, and they knew this. They knew in 3.7 as well. That's another thing that I'll get to another time, because my god, overall, Mighty's arc I think was fucking great. And again, this is definitely just like me biased because he is one of my favorite characters in Amphoreus. But it was amazing in my opinion.
Also, it's like from a lore standpoint, this is why I started really liking Tribios.
Ooh.
This is where it's like we figured out like Tribios' sacrifice, splitting into 1,000
Yeah. Oh
pieces,
yeah, I forgot about that. The whole section at the end.
Time. She had this whole dream where she got the first look at the sign of Demiurge, like the whole infinity sign.
True.
Like that is insane now looking back on it.
I feel like I need to go through that scene maybe again, because at the time it was another section where I was like, okay, like I get what we're going for here. It feels a little long, but I don't like mini sections where I felt like, okay, we can move on now. But overall, I think that scene was very good. And also, I remember talking with you about this, whom we now know was March helping Tribios escape back then.
We think so. We think maybe that is confirmed, but there's a lot of issues with that.
I think something might and I don't know if this might be a translation thing, because sometimes that is the case. I think it's the like the way Evernight phrased some things, because we then also learned later in 3.7 that like Marge could actually to an extent interact with things.
Yeah.
Just maybe not to like a meaningful degree, if that makes sense, or to a quote memorable degree. So I think that might have been more it. And there might have been something like either lost in translation, or just like the phrasing just was off in that way, where Evernight was like no, like he could interact with no one, which you know wasn't true. Let's see, is there anything else?
Duel with the Flame Reaver or a farming.
I mean, again, one of my personal favorites is also the Signet Ring and the library, obviously. So bonus points in my book.
Library with very few words in the dictionary.
I do like the way they introduced an Axis character in this story.
Just being a jerk to everyone.
Being a jerk, but you can all like both. On the one hand, yes, but on the other, like right when we get back from the Grove, you also see like how he is at his core just still a very kind person when we like deliver the news of, you know, the deceased to their loved ones with an AXA. Yeah. And the way he acts there and like takes responsibility and everything, I very much do like that. Oh yeah, okay. One thing. And I might as well mention this now because I'm probably going to mention it again later on. I am still so pissed that they did absolutely nothing with the whole Mighty stuff. Not a single damn thing.
Oh. The Mighty being the glitch of Amphoreus.
Not even like the glitch, just like anything. Just anything. Because what the fuck was Oryx doing at the end there? When Mighty was like on his like home walk, and Oryx, for some reason that is never explained, keeps like sending him back to the past and back to the present. And you know, like the whole like Mighty dreaming about past life cycles. My Amphoreus conspiracy is that they had something planned and then decided to abandon it. Because there's so much with this man where that like makes you go like, okay, so what is the point of this? Like, why is this a thing? Why are we doing this? What is the deal with this? And it's never explained. It's never fully explained. And it pissed me off so much. And that is my conspiracy, that they had a plan and they abandoned it.
Yeah, because you showed me like a lot of stuff about Mighty, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is kind of strange. It's like when you put everything together, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, I genuinely feel like they had something in mind, but and this is what I love Amphoreus. It is by far their most ambitious story so far. I think it was too ambitious. And I think that there was like an interview that I remember seeing where they mentioned that like they had more planned with Amphoreus, but like they couldn't implement everything that they wanted to, and they had to, you know, like settle on like some main points. And I am steadfast that Mighty's whole shenanigans was one thing that they decided to just not do anything with. They left things like the details in, but didn't expand on it anymore.
Maybe.
That is my tinfoil hat theory. Overall, I think I prefer 3.1 to 3.0.
Minor complaints. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Like Mighty, I pretty much loved everything. Treeby, I loved most of it. Next up, oh, this one's interesting. 3.2.
3.2 was one of the most confusing patches that I've ever released.
3.2 is for sure one of the patches that I think 3.2 is one of the most in terms of like enjoyment, controversial patches. Personally, I had a good time. But also, for some reason, which usually is not really my thing, but for 3.2, it's a lot of politics and it's a lot of philosophy. And people were definitely complaining about, like, you know, this being one of the yappier quests, which is fair.
Yeah, for sure.
But it also makes sense, because when you consider that politics is about yapping very much and saying very little, and philosophy is pretty much all about saying one thing in 15 different sentences and saying 15 sentences that sound almost the exact same but meaning 20 different things. So I was like, I'm expecting this. It definitely took me a while to like understand everything that was going on, but I think it was fine. I also love Anaxa, so that's my bias.
I feel like through this patch we learned a lot about Lygus, and that's good.
Honestly, yeah. Oh yeah, that was the patch we met Lygus.
Yeah, a lot of what happened here made a lot of sense now, looking back on it. Freaking Lygus doing Lygus things. Kindness.
I totally forgot.
Oh my god,
fucking kindness. Oh yeah, and also
this patch made us all love Aglaya.
It made me respect her more. 3.3 made me love her. I didn't really care too much about Aglaya until 3.3, but I was like, I know what she's doing. I know why she's doing it.
We got the Finon moment where he like gave his speech.
Yeah, dude. These vermin! I fucking love Finon just going off.
Yeah, that mean streak came back again for a little bit.
It was wonderful. It was lovely. That whole assembly was also very fun because on the one hand we had Finon just fucking going ham, and then we had Anaxa. Dude, Anaxa's entire section was so fucking. It was so good, but also so funny. Of him, of course, it would all be like up to him to decide whether or not we continue the Flame Chase journey, and then him going like, "My support goes to the Flame Chase journey. Actually, go fuck yourselves. I object."
I was never on your side the entire time. I've been playing you all this whole time.
I'm not even with her. I just hate you guys more than her.
Yeah, basically.
And if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me.
And then he immediately he starts slipping between life and death.
I love it. The Anaxa parts I think were great. I do think I get kind of why they didn't, but I would have loved for them to show us a bit more of Anaxa in terms of like flashbacks and like his past and stuff. At least here and there. Although I think the way they handled his character was pretty good still.
This is when we figure out that the Trailblazer was dead. Forgot about that.
Yeah, for me, like, Anaxa was the highlight, and I kind of, like, I went through the quest again, and I remember that, like, right, at the start, Oryx tells us, by the way, you fucking died. How are you here?
I think this was the first patch that Mem actually starts full-on speaking.
Oh, yeah.
We forgot to mention that in like
we didn't talk about Mem at all.
there was this time for Mem where, like, she would... and then it's like kind of starts weaving in words every now and
It was so funny.
That was the best way. That was the best time of her speaking.
Listen, I know people were kind of like at some point like were annoyed by Mem just like going mem like mem. But I, having watched Finon's voice actor like play through the quests and his chat just like starting the whole like the Mempocalypse and the idea of Mem, as soon as she starts like learning like actual words in between, just like throwing the occasional like fucking insult and bomb in there. Yeah. Mem, fucking asshole. Mem. It's so good. Like, that is one of the funniest bits ever, in my opinion.
Like, you can't convince me that that's not canon.
That has happened 100%. Like, you cannot tell me they didn't copy something from like Trailblazer's speech patterns and just like at some point it slips out and Danhong looks at them like, what did you teach the child?
We can't
Who taught
stop.
you this?
She's just learning. She's just reading our memories.
It was so good.
Oh, also, Fuli being the Skyfather of Oryx.
Oh, yeah.
Huge moment there. We can't forget about that in 3.2.
Oh, you know what I totally forgot? The whole Stellar Hunter section in 3.0. We didn't talk about that at all. Because I remember like going through it and I was like, oh, what are we doing? Did you pick Firefly or Kafka?
I think I picked Firefly because I had another perspective YouTube video pulled up, and I picked Kafka.
Because I remember that little section actually made me like Kafka a little more, because I didn't really care for her much, but like talking to her then, I was like, oh, yeah, no, I kind of like her.
She has a more gentle side there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I like Silverwolf, because like Silverwolf acts like more like a family member. Like her character's changed a little bit.
I like that. I like that we get to see more of her being like more vulnerable and open.
She's been a little bit more emotional in the 3.x series. Like
definitely. That whole section is also like where we meet Memon, where we get gazed at by, quote, Fooleened.
I'm of the mind that Foolie and Mythos are the same thing now. At first I wasn't sure, now I'm pretty sure they are.
I mean, I would definitely call them like two sides of the same coin.
I think that March ascends into Foolie and Evernight becomes Mythos.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, the dragon thing with Castorus and how she got a part of this cycle when she's not supposed to be. That, I forgot about that. Wow, yeah. I always forget that Castorus isn't even supposed to be here.
Honestly, yeah. In that case, I don't think there's anything more. I mean, we can, if there's anything more for like the Anaxa parts, we can come back to that. But on to Castorus. First things first, I did make the mistake of watching the animated short before doing the quest. And that is fully on me, and because of that, I feel like Castorus' whole section and the animation later on definitely didn't hit as hard for me as it would have if I hadn't watched that beforehand. I think 3.2 definitely was a patch for a lot of people, or was when a lot of people, if they didn't really care for or like Castorus before, they kind of came around to her and gained like a new appreciation for her character, which is totally fair. Funnily enough, I think 3.2 barely did anything for her character in my eyes. Because tragic backstory, yes, the animated short, very sad. The thing that made me like Castorus more is literally that one scene in 3.0 where we're feeding the Dromas with her. That is like the scene that I feel like had at least as much, if not a bigger impact on my impression of her than like all of 3.2.
Here's a point of controversy for me. A lot of people fall in love with Castorus. I feel nothing towards this character.
Yeah, I think
like, she is such a nothing character for me. Like, she doesn't really have too much of a personality, and maybe that's just because everyone in Amphoreus is just so extreme and she's just really not. But
and that's, yep, and I get what you mean. And that's kind of what I thought at first too, because at first her character definitely seemed like you had a feeling you knew what they were going for. You know, quiet, reserved, distance and whatnot. And that is why that moment in 3.0 and later in 3.3 as well sticks with me so much when we see her kind of like, not quite break character, because that's always been part of who she was. But when we see her like nerd out about her hobby of photography, or when we see her like giggle when we're feeding the Dromas, or when she's in class and Phynon is being a little bitch as always, and we see those little like sides of her like lighting up, those were the scenes where I was like, oh wait a moment, there's actually more to her. And then learning that, you know, she's a writer, she loves writing, she loves like doing little handicraft things, like those things that aren't really highlighted much in the story. They're more like small side things, but to me they stuck out so much more because they kind of subverted my initial expectations of what I thought her character was going to be. But also, I totally get
Cypher's
that.
First appearance.
Also, Cypher's first appearance, yes.
Where you say that like feeding the Dromas was your favorite moment from Castorus, her getting scammed by Cypher was mine.
That was also very fun, yeah.
That was funny.
Another thing, because there you also see like Castorus getting a little peeved, a little ticked off at Cypher's shenanigans.
Castorus is like, yeah, I have some savings, and Cypher's like, yeah, but what are you gonna do after that?
But that's what I always like. I always like seeing characters, like, again, breaking character is not the word, but you know what I mean. You know, like these little
showing
glimpses.
Sides of themselves.
Yeah, these little glimpses. And that's why I always put such a big emphasis on these little, like, lighthearted, what people might consider filler scenes, quote, the fluff and character interactions, because those are, in my opinion, like, the most important thing when it comes to like writing and fleshing out a character. Because you can Castorus, for example, you can give her initial impressions, you can give her tragic backstory and her later on resolve and whatnot, but all of those things were kind of expected. Like, I'm expecting to see this. I was not expecting to see her like geek out over March's camera, or to like look at us being dumbasses and have a little silly moments. I did not expect that, and I loved seeing those sides. Cypher, I liked at first. Didn't really care too much for her. I thought she was kind of fun. I had an idea where her character was going, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, because she seemed like a little too, not quite sad, but like her attitude, it didn't really hit with me.
Distant?
Kind of distant, but also like the cockiness, the confidence kind of like rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Kind of like Sparkle does, where like she has the like bratty thing to her, which I don't like most of the times.
Well, that makes sense, because Cypher is supposed to mirror the elation.
Yeah. So at first I was like, okay, I think I see where we're going with this, but how do we take this? And then 3.3 came, and now I love her.
Keeping things in 3.2, because 3.3 is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
How did Cypher move Castorus?
I still have no idea. How the fuck did she do it?
I have this idea in my head that I believe is canon, that Cypher just ran, got a chair, swooped up Castorus in the chair, and just ran with her with the chair all the way to
yeah, because we don't actually see how she does it. So she could as well have done, she could have like grabbed like 5 blankets and wrapped her up and just like cocooned her.
Yeah.
Lenny says she believed she could, so she did. I mean, true, hey, a little self-delulu.
I wonder if she could convince Castorus that her death touch didn't exist, would it cease to be?
Maybe. I mean, Castorus believed that Cypher could take them to Styxia without issue.
Cypher's power is weird, because she's basically omnipotent, like, as long as she can make you believe she is.
Pretty much. Is there anything else of note we have before we can, Oh, right, 3.2 was when Herda entered Amphoreus, and she met with Lygus.
And we see that March is like still frozen, and like Black Swan with
right.
This is where we learn that like this is where we learn that memo keepers don't believe in the present. Oh boy, there's so much lore here in this very end section.
I forgot. I've totally. Oh right, I remember because right before that, Anaxa fucking dips out like it's nothing, and then we get a black screen, and 2 seconds later, we're on the express with March. And I was like, okay, give me a second. It was so fascinating, because I didn't expect his death to be sad or anything, because I feel like that wasn't where they were going with his character. But I did love how he was just like, all right, listen, I did what I came here to do. I'm out. Go fuck yourselves. Bye.
I never got a chance to talk about this, but it's like when Lygus modeled Anaxa off of the erudition, how like the erudition will sacrifice itself just to prove a point.
Yep.
That's exactly what Herda ended up doing too.
Oh my god, you're right. I never put that together.
Just to prove a point that they had. That point was just so important that they're willing to sacrifice their own lives just to prove it.
These people are all fucking insane.
They don't care. It's worth it to them.
These people are so insane. Where were we? We were at 3.2.
We're talking about March being frozen.
And Herda meeting Lygus. And then the whole like
he said he was Genius Society, then said he wasn't, and then he started talking in enigmata ways, and it was weird.
And then he was like, you know, like
I thought
talking
he was
about
enigmata for a long time.
I thought he was lying either way, because he said like he too was gazed at by the erudition. I believed that he was like an emanator of some sort, but especially towards like 3.3, and until we learned like what he really was about and like who he really was, I thought that he was gazed at by the destruction, or he was at least a destruction follower, because bro was like had like such a fucking hard on for Nanook and for destruction.
Yeah. What's crazy to me is like this guy said, "Oh, Herda, you want to be careful. There's a Lord Ravager here. You should leave." It's like, yeah, dude, you're piloting it.
Yeah, like
what do you mean be careful?
You know, just looking out for you. Don't get ahead of yourself. So you have a long 15 hours left to live.
You can think of 178,244 logic chains to just prove Herda. Singled it down to his best 3. Still none of them worked.
Still didn't make it. Also, yes, Troy. He was also the greatest DJ in the cosmos. True. His theme slaps.
we weren't even sure if he was like the big villain because he hadn't done anything yet.
Exactly, because I thought that he was like, I mean, the likely possibilities were that either he was the big villain or that he too was working for someone. That was kind of where I stood at first.
Yeah.
Because he seemed like a middleman kind of.
Yeah. And that was his whole facade. We
and
all fell for it.
It worked for a good while. It freaking worked. Okay. Anything else for 3.2, or do we get to the ranking? I think similar to 3.0. I think that the cast.
I think very good. A few minor complaints, honestly.
Ooh. Oh my god! I totally forgot. We didn't talk about like the whole like Styxia section at all, but it was too long for my taste.
It was boring to me.
It was too long. It was too long. The highlight was meeting Mighty. The highlight was meeting Mighty again for me. And like the boss fight was also good.
We realized that like it's not that he was immortal in the way that he couldn't die. It's that he was immortal, like he would just deny death. Like he would die and then say no. Like
he don't want to die? Just say no. Death cannot claim you if you don't consent.
That was worth it to me. Like
that was so all this interesting.
Crap, like, that was really cool. Also, it made a lot of sense because like when he said that he talked to his mother, but his mother died way before he came into existence. It makes sense because he would go back into Styxia when he died, and that's when he would talk to his mother.
But even then, it is still important to acknowledge that like there is still the discrepancy of his mother saying that she raised him, which he denies she ever did. Yeah. Also another little off thing that was just left there. Yeah. And I guess you can kind of like argue for it's because we later learned that he just snatched up some of Castor's code for his like quote immortality or rebirth, whatever you want to call it. But you cannot tell me that if the logic is that it's not that death doesn't want him, it's that he refuses death time and time again. You cannot tell me a fucking toddler has the mental fortitude and strength to just not die in the River of Souls over and over.
Mighty's different.
I guess he's just different. But yeah, the Styxia part, it was okay in some parts, but didn't care too much for it. And that's why I'm saying overall good, because that section was like, it dragged on too much for me.
It wasn't on 3.1's level, so I guess I can give you that.
I would consider it about equal for like different reasons, but yeah. We'll do that.
Just because it was a ton of foreshadowing, and all three, the 3.0 had the huge moment of like us taking a picture of Orynyx and like March being put in the camera, and she was with us ever since then. That was
the fucking camera
really cool
cutscene.
Yeah, like just that nothing little moment was amazing. But 3.2 had a lot more that really
makes sense.
Us understand more about the world.
Yeah, or at least our perception of the world at that time. Do you think Anaxa would like the cat cakes? Anaxa will love the cat cakes. Are you kidding me? That man is a sucker for anything and everything cute. He might start beef with Ron May for abandoning them, honestly.
He would adopt them.
He would just adopt the whole, like, he would see them all like running around on her space station. He's like, I'll take your whole stock. I'll take them all.
I'll take your entire stock.
Okay, you know what? I don't think it was as good as, I don't think it was better than 3.0. You think it was up here? Compromise the top of overall good.
Okay.
And with that, the last one for today.
3.3. Oh boy.
Brother.
Can we both agree that the whole Solibus and Lunibus section, that dragged so hard for me?
Yeah, at first...
That was the only downside of this patch.
I remember, like, I looked it up. I'm pretty sure it was like 1 to 2 hours. I liked hearing, like, the story of Seliosi and how everything came to be and her whole journey and stuff. And also seeing, like, the parallels between her and Finon. But it was too long. They could have, like, the whole exploration section. I think at the end...
Too many doors.
Yeah, I think like the part at the end where Seliosi already like lost her mind and everyone's being punished, that section I think was fine, but
that's a justified crash out.
Honestly, yeah. And I think like everything like leading up to that, the first half was good, but after that I was like, okay, we can move on.
That's the only section that I can complain about. Everything else was amazing.
Okay. I do have like some more complaints about the quest as a whole. Number 1, there's that. Number 2, staying with Hyacinth. I feel like they wanted to do more with Danhang and Hyacinth, with their dynamic and their friendship, and they just didn't.
You think so?
I think so. I'm a sucker for platonic friendships. That's the same thing, for straight friendships, for platonic straight relationships. And Danhang and Hyacinth were so cute, and it feels like we didn't really get enough time with them. It felt like something was lacking for me. But even from what we saw, I loved their dynamic. I just wished we could have seen a bit more of that. And motherfucking Aglaya.
If you weren't convinced in 3.2 that Aglaya was great, 3.3 was the hammer.
Yes, but also at least one CG or at one little cutscene of her dying. We could have gotten one. And I get we later had the bracelet sinking into golden lava, sure. But
why didn't we get a cutscene of her
exactly
falling into the pool? Why didn't we get that?
Even if they didn't make it like an animated cutscene, just showing her stepping back and maybe the perspective from her POV falling down. Something along those lines. They could have shown that. That really grinds my gears that we didn't see anything.
We do see in the Finon trailer Aglaya falling from somewhere, which I'm thinking we're supposed to assume that's that.
Yeah, but the fact that I didn't even show it, even just one CG.
It's not in game.
They didn't even have to show it at that moment. They could have shown a little flashback or of them finding Aglaya or something. Anything along those lines. Lenny says, Finon got too much screen time here when 3.4 was all him, but that's a me issue. Yeah, Lenny's not the biggest fan of Finon. I think it was fine because I love him, but
you hate Finon?
He doesn't care much for those tropes, those hero tropes. I fucking love Finon. I love my little golden retriever boy with 33 million layers of trauma.
I like Finon because of that mean streak he's got.
Dude, speaking of that mean streak, you call him a
golden retriever, but he turns Rottweiler out of nowhere.
I love how 3.3 once again also showed us that his mean streak isn't just a mean streak. Finon can and will kill if he deems it necessary.
Yeah.
I loved that. Him literally threatening the cleaners, being listen, I don't know if I'll be able to hold back. And then with kindness, being my sword yearns to end your pathetic life. I'm okay, boy, go off.
The Flame Reaver's starting. Oh boy, the Flame Reaver's acting up.
Dude, and on the whole Flame Reaver note, Josh's performance just throughout that entire up until 3.4 was also just incredible. You could really tell by the time I reached 3.3 even. I look back at scenes from 3.0 and I'm like, look how happy he sounded. What happened?
Yeah. The voice acting in this patch is incredible.
Dude, Josh, they did incredible.
Cooked.
They did so good. But yeah, 3.3 was what really made me love Aglaya, because at first I didn't care much for her. I kind of just viewed her as I did know that she had more to her character that they just didn't fully show. But she kind of had that, she was a leader. The Lady Gold Reaver, she always had herself together.
She was holding it together.
Yeah, she was holding it together. And then I played 3.3. And when the little scenes with Cypher came and we saw, we heard more human Aglaya and tiny Cypher. And I was oh, she's mothering. Oh, no. Because I'm a sucker for the parental figures and the big sibling figures. And I was oh, you bitches, you got me.
It's that Aglaya's voice actress made us think that was her actual voice. The way she sounds so much more human.
It was so good. It was so good.
Nice. We see that more in in
the 3.5 onwards, yeah.
Yeah, 3.5, 3.6, something like that. But so many amazing voice actors.
Dude, the fact that this was her Cypher's VA's first role, where do they get these people? First Camden, now her. Where do they find them?
So much talent.
If I hadn't been saving for Finon, I would have pulled for either Aglaya or Cypher at least. Because 3.3 made me love them so much and their dynamic and everything. I didn't mention how at first I was kind of a little wary of Cypher's character, where they were gonna go with her, but 3.3 really made me love her because we have the flashbacks.
Was holding the world up.
We have the flashbacks where we learn that she's a little trickster, she's very silly, she's demigod of trickery, but like she wants to be a good person, and she is a good person, and she's trying her best. Cypher has also like that little like in this case girl who cried wolf, where she just expects people not to believe her, which to an extent of course is her own doing, and she knows that, but she also wants, you know, she wants to be genuine. It's just like it's hard with her circumstances and everything. And I love, dude, one line that will like forever like stick with me is when we have the flashback of them discovering that she has golden blood. And the way she talks about just like cutting herself open to let all the golden blood like drain out of her, and the way that line was delivered, like the panic, and that from like really she was very young at that age too, like that, like she was like what, probably like a teenager at most, and like hearing like just like essentially a kid like talk about herself like that and just like panic like that and be so desperate, Jesus.
Yeah, it's such a great character contrast too, because it's a character whose only power is to lie and make people believe it, and the other person whose power is to literally see through lies. That
was such a big moment. I remember
she had to keep herself separate from Aglaia just to save the world. Oh, it's so good.
And I remember when we started the quest, because when we started the quest, there's that one little scene of us going to meet with Cypher, and she builds a little prank on us with the Flame Reaver. I remember going through that scene, and the moment she tells us that, you know, if enough people believe in a lie, it becomes reality. The second I read that line, I was like, oh, they're gonna do something big with this. This is gonna come back to either bite us or help us. And we're gonna have to be able to cast that or something. But no, it's the fact that like this is like the one thing that no one should have been able to figure out. And like we got to the Kefali part, and like for the next 300 years, Kefali the Dawn Device will keep burning. I stopped dead in my tracks the moment I read that line. I was like, wait a moment.
Oh no.
I was like, there's no way. Right? Is there?
The second Cypher dies, everything falls apart.
It was so good. On that note, speaking of which, also think we should have gotten a Cypher death cutscene. Like a CG or something.
I feel like we did.
We did one like
it was rather graphic.
It ended on the Flame Reaver like coming down to swing on her, but I feel like, you know, where she like which by the way is still fucking so sad that she just hallucinates Aglaia and Treeby watching them, and then Aglaia talking to her, and the beetle that she hallucinates as being golden when it was just a regular nymph.
She tricked herself one last time.
Yeah, dude. I think we could have gotten like one at least like one CG maybe of that. But that scene still made me sad as hell. Let's see.
What's crazy to me is like the little detail of when like the Flame Reaver slammed her through the wall. She actually coughs up blood for a hot second.
Yeah, I love that.
I didn't know you guys did that, yo.
I had that reaction like in Final trailer as well, when it wasn't even golden blood. It was just straight up blood, and I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that. Nice. Oh yeah, of course. And small Rini at the very end. I remember people losing their minds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When the theme started playing, and everyone like that I watched played was like, "Oh,
she's Elysia," and I'm like,
"It's
yeah,
her."
Doll. I'm like, yeah, doll. Like you didn't notice.
like we knew before, but like, you know, just like hammering it home.
It's funny that her name actually straight up is Elysia. Like her pen name is Cyrene. Her name is just Elysia.
Apparently that's another thing where like they it's similar to like Kaslana, where in CN the name is like spelled a little differently than like straight up Elysia. So there's like a little like difference, like kind of like the H in Kaslana. But yeah, in English it would have been just like straight up Elysia, or as someone in my chat said, Elhysia.
Yeah, she's Elysia, not Elysia. Yeah.
Anything else?
Finon becoming a true leader in this patch was also really cool.
Yeah, dude, God. Another thing that I realized back then as well, but like I was reminded of, was in 3.3 when we say goodbye to Aglaia more or less in the plaza, the garden, whatever. And Finon goes into his little mind space and talks to the imaginary Chrysos heirs. And Castris and Anaxa were one thing, because I feel like the way that he interacted with them, or the way he imagined them, very much I think in character. Like they would have been like that in real life too. Mighty, obviously. The way that with Aglaia, what he imagines Aglaia to be is like still this
the leader,
And like
Alice Abaya.
Him imagining her saying, maybe what I wanted to save wasn't you, but this cruel word. Like, not even giving himself like a shred of kindness when it comes to her. Even though she was basically like she was his second mother figure.
Yeah, but by the time she met him, she had already like gone cold.
But even then, like we know that she still, despite her waning humanity, she still cared for him. But the way that
sure.
the fact that Phynon just like couldn't seem like he was full on convincing himself that either Aglaia didn't feel that way towards him or that he didn't deserve that sort of affection. And my god, this man has so many problems and I love him for it.
I never thought about the imposter syndrome, like, aspect of it.
Yeah, dude, and that's something that comes up later with Phynon as well. Like, Phynon never believed himself to be, like, as important as people want to make him to be. Like, he never considered himself important or capable enough to, like, be a deliverer, to be a hero. And, like, the way he constantly, like, puts himself down, and then the one thing, which is funny but also fucked up, the one thing this man will give himself is he can make a good salad and he's hot. That is all this man will give himself. And he's on par with Mighty when it comes to like fighting and stuff. But other than that, when you like compliment him, he always tries to like downplay it. Like this man is so bad at just accepting affection and compliments. And he like always tries to deflect and be like, no, actually, it was because of you that this happened and you did this. And thanks to you, I'm like
no,
this.
you're breathtaking.
Exactly. Like he always goes for the no you, except for his like, yeah, look, I'm a very attractive guy and I'm strong. And that's about it. I can make a good salad.
Oh, speaking of your Hyacinth Dan Heng moments, there's this moment where Dan Heng finds a way to copy the water teleportation gate thing.
Right. Which I think is very, I don't know, I thought it was cool that he could just do that.
It makes sense.
It makes sense, but I think it was fun that like he just got it now. Oh my god, yeah. And god, Dan Heng like telling us to go off while he stalls a flame raver. Did you see, or I guess like listen to the voiced scene now that it's voiced?
Dan Heng's voice actor can turn it on when he wants to.
Nicholas is so amazing, and it's even better because I've been replaying HSR like from the start on an alt account. Very slowly, but I've been streaming that. And the difference between 1.0 Dan Heng or 1.x Dan Heng and 3.x Dan Heng is they are worlds apart. It is amazing. Yeah, because
like the character develops and stuff. And they get more into the character.
Yeah, like the character development of Dan Heng, I think, is absolutely amazing. Amphoreus in general has maybe liked Dan Heng's character so much more. I already liked him, but I really love him. And like seeing the growth of his character is so good.
For me, I really started liking Dan Heng in like, what was it, 3.6?
That makes sense.
That's what solidified it for me. Like I was like, okay, yeah, he's the GOAT. I'm like,
that makes sense. That makes sense. For me, it was kind of like a gradual process over the course of Amphoreus, where like from like a 7 out of 10, he like went further up. Because we got to spend more time with him and we got to see him like more. We got to see him for the enabler that he truly is with the seal slammers and everything, and him showing off his silly streak one more. Like people think that Dan Heng is like the straight faced composed one of the three of them, but like it's just that Dan Heng keeps his silliness
to an emotional Hydra dragon.
Yeah, like the thing with Dan Heng is like he also is very silly, but like he keeps it to a reasonable amount. He enables them, but he just like makes sure that their shenanigans don't go over the top, that like no one gets hurt. But as far as he can without shit going wrong, he will jump in and cause trouble with them sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I love it.
He's just the older sibling.
Exactly. Like he is not immune to the nonsense. I think this might be what you had with Castorus, where something about Hyacinth's character in 3.3 felt a little lacking. I love her character, but I feel like
struggle for her. Like she kind of just knew what she had to do.
And to be fair, that might just be like a part of her character, and I'm well aware that like, you know, this I try to when it's about characters that I don't care too much about, although I do care about Hyacinth, but characters that I'm not like as insane about as like the guys or you know, other characters. I try to like keep in mind that my personal preference doesn't necessarily have much to do with how they were presented, because I still think that overall Hyacinth's presentation was good for what she's supposed to be. Similar with Castorus. Just not my thing personally, but still good enough. I don't know. I feel like they could have done a little more, maybe.
I mean, now that I think about it, though, it's like she's a medic. She sees people dying all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why it's like she's able to, like, keep it together. Because...
True. She has to.
It's like, it's the same thing as Casterus, right? Like,
yeah.
When horrible things start happening, she's probably going to be the one that's going to be on the more stable side.
Yeah.
Because...
And we even saw that, like at the end of 3.3 when, you know, when she said goodbye to us, and even then she was still smiling. Because she knew that, like, people in M4, like, people below them were suffering, and to her, that was like, she doesn't have time. She can't afford to be, like, to show weakness. Even though everyone would have totally understood and would have been with her, at least for those last moments, but yeah. I think, like, on par with 3.1-ish, maybe a little higher than 3.1, or, no, I don't know. Maybe a little higher than 3.1, I think, maybe.
We had the Seliosi fight, we had... The Flame
Oh my god,
Reaver
we didn't. I mean,
up.
to be fair, Proi. I feel like that alone has to give it bonus points.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Didn't even think about, like, the Aquila fight and everything. Also, that little moment of again, talking about, like, Leader Finon, the bracelet falling into the golden lava, and he doesn't even give himself a second to grieve. He's like, alright, we're moving on. I know, but we're moving on.
Yeah, that was such a moment where he looked and he was like...
So heart-wrenching.
It's when he starts to numb. Oh, I hate that. He just starts to numb, and it's just he
eats it all up. And at that point, I was like, he's been doing that his whole life. But now you can really see where, like, he is one step away from snapping. He is just one tiny step away. Like, any second it's gonna happen.
And then Creepy dies, and it's just, what was it?
And despite it all, he's just like. He still doesn't allow himself, like, a second of respite, a second of rest.
Also, at the very end, we learned that that Amphoreus is a scepter.
Oh yeah, right. That was 3.3.
Shows back up, yeah.
Right.
With a Screwlum. But yeah, I like where you put it. It's almost highest cinema, but that would, I think we can already say we know where 3.4 is going.
Listen, I have so much to say about that patch. That patch broke me in so many ways. This is our current ranking for 3.0 up to 3.3. We're not gonna count the Fate collab of 3.4 because it is not Amphoreus.
It's just, if you were wondering, that just goes into eh.
Okay, listen, that's I have a hot take about this. I actually like that quest.
Really?
I thought it was good.
We're gonna talk about that then.
I have an advantage there as well. I definitely will say, because that quest had, like, literally, except for, like, 1 or 2, all of my non-Amphoreus favorites, like Aventurine, Boot Hill, Sampo, Robin.
Oh yes, Sampo was there too.
Sampo was there too, my boy! Dude, the way I started
that was your patch. That was your patch and
quest,
no one else's.
And the moment I heard Sampo fucking Kazi in the recap, I was like, huh? And, like, at the end too, that was my patch. The Fate characters they were nice. I don't really care much about Fate.
I don't know much about Fate.
Same. I don't really care too much for it. But even then, I like the interactions we got. I like it because it was such a, like, character interaction heavy quest. Because a lot of it, like, what some people might be filler, to me was fun because we got to see these characters, like, goofing around and bickering. And of course there were some rougher patches and some gripes I had with it. But, like... Why am I in Britain? That it's so
is this Britain?
It's so funny. I was pissed off at the time because I was like, "What do you mean we're in Ides Elysiae?" And then Samber's like, "Is it Samber?" Samber's like, "Why am I in Britain?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, excuse me." Now I look at it and I'm like, "Of course it was cheap, but it's also fucking hilarious."
It's so stupid.
It's so stupid, but now it's in hindsight, it's so funny.
I forgot about old Odie though. Old Odie was kind of a villain a little
bit, dude.
At first I liked old Odie. Now I can't stand him.
At first I was kind of neutral. At first I was kind of neutral on him. I didn't trust him. And then I was like, oh, you asshole. Oh yeah, I forgot Rekka. Well, kind of Rekka was in it too. So that's another one for me.
Yeah, Rekka got some lore. I need to go back and look at that. Rekka got some, like, backstory or something.
Yeah, although it wasn't really like, it was, what was it, the guy's name? Grady, I think? Like, at the end of the day, I do think that the Penacony lore we got was kind of, it was pretty interesting to me. But I think like the characters just being there and talking about it also contributed to it. I like that they casually dropped that Adventuring likes trashy films. And fucking Scott! Sense. Oh my god, fucking Scott! Listen, I love Scott. I fucking love that guy.
He's another villain you love to hate, you know?
Yeah, no, I love that guy. We got playable Scott before playable Screwlum. We got playable Mem before playable Screwlum. It was so funny. Yeah, right. And that was one thing that people also hated, that that Scott got so much spotlight. I loved it because I think he is fucking ridiculous.
I like that, like, he's a bad guy, knows he's a bad guy from a long lineage of bad guys with a bad guy legacy.
He's like, yeah, I'm an asshole.
That is his thing.
Yeah,
he's like, heck yeah, I'm a bad guy.
Like even the Wardens, he's like, yeah, I know, I'm a bitch, I know.
Doesn't care and he's proud of it. I love that about him.
It's so good. It's so good. He's so pathetic. He's such a loser. Oh yeah, and the little Misha and Pom Pom scene at the end as well. That was very cute. Chat, say bye to Nova. Go check him out. He's a cool guy sometimes.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
No, she isn't.
But he's not being a cocky little bastard. He's very cool.
I want you to know, I said I'm like that, but low key, I'm just like, please be right, please be right, please be right, please be right, please be right. It's like the whole time. Every video I make is like that. I'm just like, please don't have some stupid, horrible error that I just didn't read.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's like the biggest horror for like any lore enthusiast is like you build up this whole like thing, and especially if it's someone like you who like goes all in, and then at the end you're like, by the way, you misread that. That typo. That's actually not true.
That sucks.
That's why I don't do this. Number one, I don't have the brain for it, but that's why I never want to like go in too hard with my theory, and I'm like, hey, you know, maybe, or I'm like, this is a crack theory because I have like 2 pieces of evidence for this, and I don't want to look like an asshole.
I'm not afraid.
And good for you, as you shouldn't be.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Bye-bye. Oh god, that was so fun. Honestly, I'm impressed that we at least got through halfway, and then we got some more yapping done. But anyway.